when we're afraid or when we turn angry, something different is happening in the brain that removes our ability to communicate in a way that will connect us to people. Instead, it switches to survival mode. When we begin to get angry and afraid, frustrated, we want to explain ourselves a lot. We want to pursue a lot. We won't give the other person a break. We're actually damaging relationship many of the times. And there's one thing I like to share with couples in order to help them to get out of this communication cycle that continues to lead to argument, continues to lead to relationship breakdown. I like to look at the brain in four quadrants: upstairs, downstairs, right, and left. My name is Rick. You can find me at Rick Grundy Therapy, and let's get into it. One way to think about what's going wrong in our conversation when we get angry or afraid, upset, frustrated, is looking at the brain in four quadrants. We have upstairs, downstairs, right, and left. In normal conversations, when we're with our friends, when we're in work mode and things are going well, when we're casually walking through a Walmart or someplace just shopping, we tend to be upstairs. And the upstairs part of our brain, all this macaroni looking stuff on the upstairs of the brain, this is where humor is located, and executive function, deep processing, and connection. All of the centers of our brain that operate to connect with other people and bring people in because there's a high level of trust. That's all upstairs. We want to be upstairs as often as possible when we are communicating with people that we want to stay in relationship with. However, sometimes in the course of conversations, we begin to get maybe afraid, we begin to get agitated, we begin to get frustrated with that other person, and a different system in our brain kicks in. We begin to go downstairs. When we're talking about downstairs, we're talking about the fight, flight, or freeze system in the brain. We're really talking about the amygdala. Now, this diagram that I have before you is not going to help you at all to really understand what the amygdala looks like, but I just want you to visualize something. This upstairs part of the brain, all this macaroni looking stuff, that's like the most complex and best computer we have ever seen. Is deep processing power. If we go downstairs, and remember, don't use this diagram to say this is exactly what's happening. If we think about one little tiny dot on the left side, one little tiny dot on the right side, and the two of them come together, forming something called the amygdala. It's a very small part of the brain. One of the things the amygdala does when it turns on is it's designed to turn off upstairs. When we get angry, when we get frustrated, when we get sad, all of this upstairs stuff, all this deep processing, humor, executive function, the ability to connect with other people completely turns off. And we go into survival mode, self-preservation mode. For example, if I am walking across a crosswalk and suddenly I see this truck, this big transport screaming toward me, not recognizing it's a crosswalk and is about to smush me. I don't want my big brain asking questions like, where did that guy get, his awesome paint job? That thing looks like Optimus Prime. Does that truck have aluminum rims? Where'd that guy get that tint job from? I don't want big brain asking those kinds of questions because it keeps me in harm's way. When we are when we have a problem, we want the amygdala to turn on. We want to go downstairs in fight, flight, and freeze mode and turn all this off. And we want our brain instantly saying, jump out of the way, flight mode. Hopefully we don't go downstairs. We put up our fists and say, I'm going to fight that truck coming towards me. More likely, we are going to be in flight mode and jump out of the way of the truck. When we're communicating with people that we really love or people that we're just really great friends with, what happens is we kind of let our guards down and we open ourselves up to feeling safe with the other person. And eventually, when we go downstairs, the amygdala starts to make the assumption that death is so close as touching us on our nose. And it turns off all those powerful connection tools we have upstairs. And we get into a mode that just hurts relationships. In Gottman therapy, one of the interventions that I teach couples, that I help couples with, called the ritual of taking breaks. It is so important to recognize when you are downstairs having a conversation. As soon as you are downstairs in a conversation, it is ideal to stop the conversation and just take a little bit of a break and work on going back upstairs. One of the things I teach couples is to recognize that they are downstairs and just call it out. Call it out. I think we're downstairs right now. Let's take a 30-minute break. Let's come back to this after dinner. It's 10:30 p.m. and we're downstairs. Why don't we just kind of sleep on this and schedule to come back to this and after coffee tomorrow morning, say 9:30, 10 a.m. Let's just come back to the conversation then. We'll just take a break a bit. It's so essential to take a break, recognize when we're downstairs, and go upstairs. So when you are finding that you're having conversations with your partner, your spouse, your best friend, whoever, your parents, and you're into the same pattern, you're into the same loop of conversations, chances are you are not upstairs. You're going downstairs very quickly. And one of the antidotes, one of the ways to fix that is to call it out, saying, recognize for yourself, I'm downstairs, and saying, I need to take a break right now. I need to go and do something in order to help me go upstairs. If you want to learn more, you could read about it on the blog that I just posted today. You can reach out at rickgrundytherapy.com. Love to have a further conversation with you about this.